Hi, today we're going to learn about some properties from algebra that can help us in geometry. The first property is the addition property. You probably use this quite a bit in Algebra 1. That property says if you have A equal to B and C equal to D, then A plus C would equal B plus D. This is the property that allows you to add equal quantities to both sides of an equation. In the example at the bottom, if we have x minus 5 equals 10, we can add 5 to both sides and get x equals 15. Another property is the subtraction property. Again, if we have A equal to B and C equal to D, then A minus C would be equal to B minus D. We can subtract an equal quantity on both sides of an equation. So for example, if x plus 5 equals 10, we would subtract 5 from both sides, and x would be equal to 5. For the multiplication property, if A is equal to B, then C times A would equal C times B. This allows us to multiply both sides of an equation by the same quantity. For example, if x divided by 10 is equal to 3, we can multiply both sides by 10, and x would equal 30. For the division property, if A is equal to B and C is not equal to 0, then A divided by C would equal B divided by C. We have to put in here that C cannot be equal to 0 because you are not able to divide by 0. For example, if 2x equals 10, we could divide both sides by 2, and then x would equal 5. A property that you're probably very familiar with is the distributive property. If you have A times the quantity B plus C, that's going to be equal to A times B plus A times C. For example, if you have 3 times the quantity x plus 7, then you can distribute the 3 and get 3x plus 21. The substitution property says if A is equal to B, then either A or B can be substituted for the other in any equation. If you had x plus y equals 6 and y is equal to 4, then you could put 4 in place of y in the first equation and get x plus 4 is equal to 6. The reflexive property is one that we're going to use a lot. This just says that anything, number, segment, or angle is equal to itself. So A is equal to A, segment DE is congruent to segment DE, and angle ABC is congruent to angle ABC. The symmetric property says if A is equal to B, then B is equal to A. This allows you to reverse the order of an equation. For segments, we could say if DE is congruent to FG, then FG is congruent to DE. And with angles, we could say if angle A is congruent to angle B, then angle B is congruent to angle A. And finally, we have our transitive property. This says if A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A would have to be equal to C, since they were both equal to B in the first two equations. An example with segments, if segment DE is congruent to segment FG and segment FG is congruent to segment JK, then segment DE would have to be congruent to segment JK. And with angles, if angle A is congruent to angle B and angle B is congruent to angle C, then angle A is congruent to angle C. These are properties that we can use as we go through geometric proofs.